It is early, and we can't get ahead of ourselves, but Florian Wirtz to Liverpool is a possibility, guys. The Oracle has spoken, David Ornstein, and a lot of people were writing this rumor off before, but it turns out the flight that he took to Manchester was actually get to Blackpool, our Blackpool offices, and have a conversation with himself and his parents. The deal could be on, man. And I know a lot of people they aren't understanding this deal. And it doesn't make sense unless you kind of deep dive a little bit into obviously the mindset behind Edwards, Hughes, and Slot, and of course, the market as a whole right now. And it could be a sign of things to come. It could be a sign of a change in style for Liverpool FC. And instead of looking at this as we don't need another midfield, look at this as we're doing something completely else than what we've seen before and what we've done before in the Klopp era. This is the great transition, I think. And I think we need to get away from the idea of bringing in a traditional number nine because I think this is going to be the number nine signing. Number nine signing. And I want to break that down a little bit in this video. I'm going to do a deeper dive this weekend, but I wanted to get my thoughts out here as the story is hot. Unbelievable. This is a game changer. And I want to give you guys some perspective on why this deal makes a whole ton of sense at 126 million versus deals for, say, a traditional number nine in Sesko, Hugo Ekitike, Victor Osimhen, Victor Gyökeres, even Isak, even Alvarez. I'm thinking that maybe our data team, they aren't convinced. They aren't convinced with the striking options that are available right now in the Premier League. And they want to decide to go the PSG route. And it looks a lot like a PSG type of move. And I'm going to explain that in a second. So it's a fluid front three, right? I see a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Szoboszlai's days are numbered. This is what happens when you side with Trent." I don't think this is what this is. Slaughter's played with the idea of a double 10, and we've played with Luis Diaz for the most part of this latter half of the season as the number nine in this squad. And I think that was a sign of things to come. Of what if we don't get our ideal target? What if we don't get Alvarez? What if we don't get Isak? Who is out there and who is available that could potentially give us this style of play that we struggled so hard with and the rest of Europe struggled so hard with in the PSG mold, where they have Kvaratskhelia, they have Desiree Doué, and they have Bradley Barcola, and then they have Dembele. All of them technically all can play the same position, but they swap and they change and they're interchangeable. And you're bringing in Desiree Doué and you're bringing in Kvaratskhelia off the bench, or you're starting them. It's mix and match type of stuff. And I think we all know that Slot actually favors this style of play. He favors interchangeable pieces, which is why he loves that midfield three with Ryan, Maka, and Szoboszlai, because all three of them can rotate positions and do a job in each other's position. I think he wants the same thing in that front three. Think of this: Gakpo, Wirtz, Salah as the front three, and they swap and change constantly throughout the match. Or Díaz, Wirtz, Salah, where we've seen Díaz play on the right hand side, we've seen him play in the middle, we've seen him play on the left hand side, and then in this last game, we saw Salah take up a more central position and be more of a creator and let the other two run in behind and let Connor Bradley bomb down the right hand side, or a Jeremy Frimpong bomb down the right hand side. So I think it's a change in tactic that I think we're going to be seeing with this Liverpool side. And let's be honest, the forward market is fried right now. And I think this move actually makes sense. Like I said before, you're going to get Sesko, Hugo, Gyökeres, all these forwards that maybe have a question mark around them for 90 or 100 million, when you could spend 26 million more and you could get Florian Wirtz, who is a generational talent, who is proven and has 30 goals and assists and has created the most opportunities in the Bundesliga. Which one would you pick? Because there's a lot of people out there that are saying, we don't need him. You might as well spend the Isak money. You might as well spend the Alvarez money on that. I get that sentiment and I get that mindset because we feel like we need a nine. But the best teams in the world don't even really play with a nine right now, right? You look at Barca, you look at PSG. A lot of these really exciting teams that are very scary don't essentially play with a nine starting out. Lewandowski, of course, comes off the bench for Barca, but for the most part, It's a fluid front three, an attacking line that Barca plays. Same thing with PSG. Do they have nines on their roster? Absolutely. And I think that's where Jaden Dan's comes into play for our Liverpool team. When we do want a traditional nine, I think Dan's will get opportunities. I think Rio will get opportunities in this side as well, who I think has all the ability to be a Due, a Kvaratskhelia, a Bradley Barcaloa, a young shining star for us. I think he will factor heavily into this type of system and this type of plan. I get Alvarez and Isak. They're just not plausible. Alvarez just moved to Spain. He's happy there. I don't think he's probably looking for a move back to the Premier League. It just doesn't make sense. Isak just won his first trophy with Newcastle, and who says Newcastle is going to be willing to part ways with Isak, or Isak is willing to part ways with Newcastle? When you have a player who is generational on the level of Musiala, could potentially be in conversations with for a Ballon d'Or in the next 2 to 3 years, that's available in this part, willing to move to Liverpool, because you don't fly all the way. You don't fly all the way to England if you're not interested, right? So I think the data team just isn't convinced with these forwards right now, and I get it. But you don't ignore Neymar just because you need a striker like Zlatan, if that makes sense, right? If Neymar is available, you buy Neymar. You don't buy Zlatan, even though you may have needed him. You buy the player that could potentially change your entire organization and change the future of your club. And I think that's Florian Wirtz. I really do. And let me know what you guys think down below. If I'm crazy, if this is an unnecessary signing, but I do unspeakable things if we got this Wirtz deal done. I think he is the one. It's a good sign that his parents and himself showed up and they came to us. This doesn't happen very often. This, I think, is what winning titles does for a team and for an organization. You don't need him, I don't think is an option. But this is what happens when you win things, you become a destination place, and you get yourself in a position to where you can buy players you technically don't need, right? This is how we keep winning titles. It's like what Lawrence McKenna said, and if you haven't watched this video, please do. He does a fantastic breakdown of the mindset behind this whole thing. This is how you keep winning titles. You swing for the fences when you're on top. You don't swing for the fences when you're on the come up and you need these types of players and you want to go to the next level. That's why we struggled for so long with before we started winning things. That's why, teams like Manchester United, teams like Chelsea, teams like Arsenal and things like that, they have a hard time bringing in really good quality players that could be game changing, like Wirtz and stuff like that. And why so many players decide to go to Madrid and they decide to go to Bayern Munich, to these teams that are serial winners, Manchester City, because there's proof in the pudding. And now we have proof, we have pull, right? And we can talk about our history. We can talk about, how much we won before, but there's nothing more there's nothing more convincing than winning now. And I think that's what's lured Florian to this team. And it also helps that Arne Slot is the man right now. Who wouldn't want to play for Arne Slot right now? One of the top managers in the world. Very attractive and interesting project. Is this going to happen? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. If it does, strap in for the rest of the league. We're going to be unstoppable in attack. The Frimpong and Wirtz links, they should tell you that this is not Klopp's LFC anymore. This is not work hard, run it down, we're going to outrun everybody type of Liverpool anymore. We're moving away from that, I think. And I think we aren't used to that as a fan base a little bit. And that's okay. Which is why I think these links are kind of freaking a lot of people out. Like, we don't need Frimpong. We don't need Wirtz. But I mean, just look at it in isolation. You'd be a fool not to go after these players for the prices that they're at. 35 million for Frimpong, who I think is one of the best right wingers, right wing backs, whatever you want to call them, in the world right now. Wirtz, one of the best young ballers in the world right now, for 126, which I think is still a good deal. We're gonna move players on. Nunez is gonna move on. Jota's gonna move on. I promise you, our net spin is still gonna be in a really good place. Our net spin is really gonna be in a good place. But the tactics And anyway, that's none of our business anyway as fans. That's too expensive. How the hell do we know? We don't have FSG's pocketbooks. And it looks like we maybe found that Caicedo money. It looks like we found that Caicedo money. But this is dream stuff. We're in dreamland right now. And the fact that this report is coming out from all different directions, from reliable sources, don't get excited too soon, but I think you can be hopeful. If you love the romance of football, I think you love this link. And I love the romance of football, and I love this link. For everybody that says, this is kind of not relevant, but it is relevant to me. For anybody who says they love Neymar because it was the beautiful game. Football isn't about stats, or they pick Hazard over Salah because he's more fun to watch. You're gonna lose your mind when you watch Florian Wirtz because he's both majestic, elegant on the ball, impossible to get the ball off of him, can find a pass from literally anywhere, inside of the foot, outside of the foot, and is clinical in front of goal. Come on, y'all. That's my false nine. I'm taking them, baby. But anyway, subscribe to the channel. We're going to do a deep dive this weekend about how this whole thing could look and pan out with this new look Liverpool side. Make sure you guys subscribe so we check in on that. Appreciate everybody for tuning in the channel. Thank you for subscribing. And if you don't, that's okay. Keep tuning in, hanging out with us. If you do subscribe, appreciate that a whole ton. But I just want to come on here, express my thoughts about this amazing club what I love from the bottom of my heart. And I'm just appreciate that you spend some of your time with me every week or so. So appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace. Boom.